Hey mates, and welcome to Blindformers. I'm your host Blind Prime, and for today I'm going to be talking about Transformers Age of the Primes, Nexus Prime, one of the 13 OG Primes, one of the 13 aka gods of Transformers, but they're not really. They're just beings created by Primus in order to help him fight against his brother Unicron. But today we're going to go into Nexus because Nexus is the king of combiners. He is the first combiner. And I'm going to start off by saying exactly what everybody else on YouTube says. Well, two things that everybody else on YouTube says. Number one, please like, share, and subscribe to help me raise awareness of the blind and visually impaired through the means of which this channel offers. And number two, why is it this is just one figure that becomes a core block for a combiner armor thing instead of just being a figure made up of tiny vehicles that all combine together? Because I think having a bunch of Micromasters that combine together to create Nexus Prime would have been far, far cooler than what we got. I appreciate what we got. And today we're going to go into this figure because it's not a bad figure. But with Amalgamus that I've covered last time, I really wanted to cover these two together because it feels like, Amalgamus needed to be some sort of six changer. He needed to be a transformer that had 5 different alternate modes. I think that would have, or 6 different alternate. I don't care how many alternate modes. He just needed a bunch of them, but you made him king of the weaponizers. But this guy needed to be Amalgamus. This guy needed to have his arms separate and become a vehicle, 2 vehicles. His legs separate and become 2 vehicles. And then his core could become its own vehicle. And all the vehicles wouldn't turn into robots because they're like drone vehicles. They're not individual robots with their own thoughts and feelings, because that's not what Nexus Prime was. He wasn't 5 separate bots with their own thoughts and feelings. He was one robot that just happened to be made up of 5 kind of drone robots, or at least drone vehicles. So I don't know why they went with this direction, unless of course it is just to sell more combiner units, which it may just be that, because now people are going to want more I can't remember his name right now. The aerial bot commander. Damn, it's just not coming to my head. I don't know why it left me. Silverbolt, there it is. Oh wow. So they just wanted to sell more like Silverbolt units, and apparently this guy also works with Menasor, and people say that he doesn't really work well with the Bruticus, and we're going to find out with that. And also, I'm going to experiment with him and Menasor eventually, but for this video alone, we're just going to have him, and then we have the aerial bots off over here to the side, already kind of assembled into the giant robot mode. So all I have to do is turn him into his core block, which I'm calling it a core block because, well, I grew up on Gundam, and the core block system is kind of what this feels like when it comes to these combiners with the skeleton stuff. It feels like a core block system, where, yeah, you can combine everything together, but until you make that core block with the head, ain't anything happening. So that's enough blathering on about the figure and my wishes of what I wish the figure could be. So let's now talk about what the figure is. So first and foremost, I do want to mention, I have his weapons displayed in 2 different ways. So one, on his left hand, I have his hand actually holding the weapon. And then on his right arm, what I did is I rotated the arm, because this is a very unique arm in that it has a joint for an elbow that goes both ways. So I just rotated the arm to make it where his thumb is now facing towards the ground on the hand. That doesn't really rotate well. But there is a siege port on the inside of the arm, and I put it on the outside so he could wear his little null rays, because I know there's some sort of laser gun, but you know what? I think null rays, whenever I feel a long weapon like this, a long laser thing that goes to an aerial, to a seeker or something like that, or any sort of aerial bot. And this is definitely that. So you take the one out of his hand and rotate his arm the wrong way, and there's that siege port available. Then we can just set him there. And I think he looks a lot cooler with his weapons plugged into his forearms than he does just holding them. They're kind of goofy when you put them in his hand, but when you make them his forearm weapons and you fold those little winglets down on either side of them, they just scream coolness, in my opinion. They just scream coolness. And I also want to bring up another thing I like about this figure. You know, one of my favorite things about this figure is his head sculpt, okay? Not the big one. We're going to talk about the big head in a bit, but the little head right here. This head and how it's sculpted screams gem to me, or screams gun cannon to me. Like this just reminds me of the gun cannon or the GM. It's just, I love that the whole thing of giant kind of goggle thing that runs across, like Ray-Bans across the entire head, and then you got this face mask thing that covers his mouth. It just screams Gundam to me in ways that very rarely do I get in figures. The last one that really screamed Gundam to me was Victory Saber, and well, I mean, he was designed by a Gundam artist, so that makes sense. This one is just, this head is so synonymous with GMs and gun cannons that I can't get over it. Just like, I love it so much. He's got such a fun head sculpt. It is really nice. And the little vent on top that you always need for your Transformers. It's there. The crest is there. It's just such a fun head. So let's get into this robot mode in depth and talk about it from the feet up to the top. And then we're going to go into his transformation and discuss the, discuss the flying mode I came up with, because I heard there's another one out there, but you know what? This one works for me. So we're just going to do what Blind Prime found when it comes to a flying mode. And if it's right, cool. If it's wrong, oh well, I like it more. So let's get into it today. First and foremost, 360 degrees on the shoulders, but we're talking about the feet first. His feet are really cool. His feet have ankle tilt. That's insane. Really cool ankle tilt. Actually, so much so that you could tilt the ankle all the way around and fold the leg up the back, and he can just kind of walk on his shin. If you wanted to have him, if you wanted to have a clip of, he's like Starscream that got his foot removed during the movie, and can I just say, the MTMT Starscream better have a missing foot? Like, I'm going to be upset if his foot is there. Because seriously, you're going to give us all the battle damage stuff, then give us a Starscream missing his foot. Anyway, so that's something you can do fun-wise with the feet. I like that the feet have some toe articulation to them. And this means you can kind of have him on the very edge of your shelf with his toes kind of gripping the outside of it if you wanted to. But it does not do anything good for his stability. His feet are a little waffled. There's a siege port in there, and for the most part, they're really well sculpted. I like the toes on the front. He's got these two big, honking, like, industrial toes for the front of his feet, and it's kind of fun. Then you get over here to his leg. His knee's got 90-degree bend, and this leg is really cool. I like the little spikes, or the little edges on the side of his foot. He got this big old vent, like, armor plating on the side of his lower leg. The front of it's got a neat little kneecap or a knee brace thing. And you come down here to where his shin guard would be. You got a little port there. I'm not sure if that's a siege port or just kind of a neat little vent. I mean, we can always give it a test try. Let's pull this gun off. I don't think that's a siege port. It feels too small. But we're going to give it a shot, right? Because that's what we like to do here on the channel. It's too small. It's not a siege port. But we can go ahead and remove that gun because we're going to need to remove his guns anyway. So just go ahead and take off both of his guns from his arms, set them off to the side. Those are the only, not only accessories that he comes with. We'll talk about the second accessory in a minute. But let me go ahead and rotate his arms the correct way. There we go. And there we go. Yay, his arms are fixed. So coming over here to his hips, we get basic Pooh hips. There's nothing real. There's a couple of etchings in them, but not to the level like Liege Maximo. Liege Maximo had epic thighs because they were they were so well sculpted. And this one even has some waffling on the inside of the thigh. But they at least gave us sculpting inside the waffling to make it seem like it's structural waffling instead of we didn't have enough plastic to fill this space kind of waffling. There is a hollow section on the back of his leg. There's this little square hollow area. And interestingly enough, you can just kind of fold the foot up and cover it with the back of his foot. If you wanted to cover up that waffled area, you can do that with both of his feet and just kind of fold them up his back of his legs. And now he's just walking on. He's walking like a Combiner Wars Transformer now without the ankle tilt. If you just wanted to give it the Combiner Wars treatment, sans ankle tilt, there you go. He can kick sideways at 90. He can kick up pretty far above a 90. He can kick back above a 90. And full waist rotation if you don't... I knocked off his nose for his plane mode, which was kind of clipped in. So let's go ahead and unfold that back panel and clip this piece back in. It's pretty easy to clip in. It falls out all the time. Don't get upset if the tip of your nose cone thing falls out. You could just clip it back in, pretty simple. But let's go ahead and take out his Enigma of combination. I think that's what it's called. And that is just this little thing. Kind of feels... I don't know. It's weird. It's like a matrix of leadership if somebody took the edges of the matrix and stretched them out. It was like you took a matrix of leadership that was kind of rubbery and just pulled it on either end to try and taper them down into more points. So it's got the core of a matrix of leadership, but the sides are just really weird. And it feels like somebody took the old American Air Force emblem, the stripes with the star in the center, and they stretched them out a bit more and kind of flattened them down at the edges. But that's what this feels like. This feels like it's that image that our Air Force used to have on all their planes. It's really weird. It doesn't do anything. It just apparently sits there and looks pretty. And of course, you can attach it to the inside of his forearm if you wanted to. That way he keeps it close to his side. There it goes. You can just plug in like that, and then he can look at it if he wants to. So that's the Enigma combination he comes with. It's a tiny little piece, and it doesn't really do much more. I think it'd been neat if it was important for his transformation at some point, but oh well. Now let's get into his transformation as a whole, because we've talked about his arms. They pull 90 at the shoulder, and his elbows bend backwards 90, and then they bend forwards at a 90. Really, really unique elbows there. Really unique elbows. Now let's get into this transformation. This one's actually kind of fun. Sorry, I've got a piece of cat hair on my nose. This transformation is very fun and interesting, so let's get into it immediately. The first thing you want to do with this transformation is just kind of pull his backpack up and out, and that's going to pull the back panel of this transformer. So we're going to come around here to the back, and this back panel is actually going to pull down, and this is going to allow us to flip his head backwards, and his head can park in this little gap, just like an Optimus Prime. It's a similar transformation step in mini Transformers, and then you just kind of close that area up. But before you close it up, go ahead and pull his arms out, because his arms are actually locked in there. So once you fold this backpack down all the way, you can then pull each of the arms out and fold that backpack back up, and it will lock into place. Now, go ahead and pull out the arm extenders on each side, and they're just going to kind of sit here and chill. So we're just going to fold them up all the way till the arms touch each other. But not on the exterior of the arm, the inside areas. When you get this guy, you'll notice these panels kind of accordion out, and you just got him in front of you, and he looks really goofy right now. He looks like, body horror. So next step is we're going to take this his nose cone thing, and we're going to kind of fold it up and around, and that's going to go ahead and pull the nose cone out from inside the other nose cone. There we go. And this is going to fold down over the head. So we rotate that head around so that it's correct, and fold that stuff down over the head. There we go. So that we're hiding the big head for the combination mode, very similar to Silverbolt's transformation there. Now we're going to come around here to the side and find his hips, and you'll see that his hips have this skirt thing that allows him to kick up, but what we're going to do is we want that bit of motion that allows him to kick sideways, we want that to actually be at the top. So we're going to rotate his hips 180 degrees, and then rotate his leg a little bit so that his knee is facing towards his arm, where his armpit would be. And then all this is actually going to fold up and kind of connect. If I'm doing it right, and I'm probably doing something wrong. But then again, I'm doing something wrong all the time on this channel. So let's go ahead and there's this side panel on his leg you can fold out. And we're going to fold that out and fold that up. Then that's actually going to rotate all the way around. So once you fold this side panel out that we talked about, this armor plate that's got the edges on it, it's going to fold out straight off the leg, and then it's going to fold up and around and clip into place on over his shin. So we're going to do it with the other side. We're going to find that piece. We're going to rotate it around. We're going to click it into his shin. And we're also, with this other side, going to rotate the leg around so that the top of that hip is now over there. Next step is we've got to take and fold this, this leg in to the side. And it will just click in. So all we have to do is just line things up. And it should click in quite nicely if I'm doing it right. I'm probably not doing it right. It's okay. Here at Blind Prime, we're all about making mistakes and having fun doing it. So make sure the knee is facing the core area, and if it's done right, that knee should just kind of pop in. I mean, if it's done wrong, oh well, we'll fix it. Wonderful thing about Transformers. Oh, right. Okay, so that's my problem. Bend the knee at 90 degrees, then pick it up, and it will clip in very nicely, making that panel that we folded out and over the leg is actually going to end up on the side of the nose cone as like a shoulder pauldron, or just kind of there as an air intake. Now let's do the same with the other leg. Bend the knee 90 degrees, pick the leg up after we've rotated the hips so that the open section of the hips is facing upwards, and then just kind of clip that piece in place. There we go. Now we have a problem because we forgot a step. So go ahead and unclip the legs and rotate the hips 180 degrees, then clip the legs back in. Oops. There you go. There we are. Each of the legs is clipped back in. Now we're going to take the feet and we're going to fold them out on either side. Just fold them out so they're kind of floppy and hanging off the sides like little winglets. Next step is you're going to line up the arm so the arm is straight. And remember how we folded that on the back? Now the arm's going to fold down and actually snug into this area. Once we unfolded that panel from the side of the leg that folded over on top of the shin, we revealed this big negative zone here, a big hole in the leg area. Well, this arm is going to fold down and his shoulder is going to fit into that hole, and it's going to lock down very nicely. Then you come down here to the rest of the arm and you just kind of rotate it around, and you want to make sure the peg, that rectangular peg on his arm, is facing outwards, because now we're going to bring this foot down and the foot and that arm are going to connect together. Now we're going to do the same process over here. We're going to lower the arm on its little track and it's going to scoot into that hollow section of the leg, and then we're going to make sure the arm is rotated around so that the rectangular pegs are sticking outwards, and then bring the foot down and connect those pegs into the underside of the foot, into some secret peg holes that I have yet to really find, but they click into place every single time. Now take his Enigma of combination. Where's your Enigma of combination? Okay. These two pieces are not what I'm looking for. I'm looking for you. All right, so we're going to go ahead and plug that back into the nose cone. So it gives two little nose wings on either side of the nose cone, and gives him a little more flair, I think. It just makes him look cooler, in my opinion. And make sure everything is squeezed down on the edges and it's all tight. Then bring in your little weapons, your little secret things, and we're going to plug each of these into the siege port at the bottom of his feet that are now on the sides of this aircraft. And this is a very weird aircraft. So let's plug in this one first. There we go. And then we'll plug in the other one. And then we're going to talk about this unique vehicle and how much I love it when we get cool vehicles like this. Like, people have poo-pooed Liege Maximo, but I love Liege Maximo's vehicle mode, because Liege Maximo's vehicle mode feels sci-fi to me. It feels like something an alien species would make. And that's what this feels like. This doesn't have a cockpit for a human being. It's just a weird flat rectangular aircraft with some wings on the sides, but it's solid. This thing comes together nicely, and we get this really unique jet mode that's square and with wings that kind of come out to the sides, and it feels like it's a spacecraft more than an aircraft. And I really like that, because there's not much of an atmosphere on Cybertron. So this works. This is awesome. I like this vehicle mode. I like the textures at the top, how it feels like some really neat armor, how we got these vents all over the place for air intake to make sure that this guy stays cool and chill while he's flying about in Cybertronian's atmosphere, just flying about in space. The textures are phenomenal on this character. And there's even another like siege port in the back area, so if you didn't want the Enigma of combination to be at the front, you could unplug it from the underside of the nose. and then you come over here and you can put it on his back area if you wanted to. And that just gives you a little bit of a thing on the back. But I think it would have been neat if we had gotten a tail fin that we could plug into that siege port. Or, you know, you can move these guns around and plug them into different places. But there's not many different places to plug the weapons in, sadly. Like, they have mostly done away with siege ports, and I miss them. I miss the siege ports being everywhere, because it was just fun to have all those opportunities to attach things to your figure. And it also, I believe, helped out with the cost of making the figure, because here you have a bunch of holes in your plastic, meaning that isn't plastic that you're spending money on. And it ensured, you know, they didn't have to waffle so much, because they already were doing waffling, but it was construction. You know, it was constructed waffling. It was waffling with a purpose. And that's what siege ports are, waffling with a purpose. Anyway, this vehicle mode is pretty cool. You know, for his robot mode, I'm going to give his robot mode an A+. I believe it is an excellent little robot mode. Actually, yeah, it's going to get an A+, because, you know, it's got basic articulation and stuff. And the S category is safe for those figures that go above and beyond what I expect. And this guy gives me everything that I expect from a good Voyager class in robot mode. And that's why he's getting the A+. He's a good robot mode figure. This vehicle is definitely getting the, in my opinion, the vehicle mode is getting an S. Because this is just, it's a weird sci-fi vehicle with these odd little wings on the sides. That it's just, it screams science fiction to me. It screams something not made on Earth. It is perfect for the alternate modes of the 13 primes. It fits in very well with the crazy sci-fi aspect that those 13 primes give us with their alternate modes. This guy fits that idea a lot better than Alchemist Prime does, that's for sure. Alchemist Prime is a little too much like a normal vehicle for my taste. I wish they had done something more sci-fi with him. Or at least turned him into a sci-fi tanker. That would have been a lot cooler, in my opinion, than his little weird armored truck. Like, making him a tanker because the guy's known for distributing beer and stuff. I think that would have been awesome. Anyway, so, vehicle mode, S. The transformation, it's intuitive, it's kind of fun, there's a lot of things you can do with it, so I'm going to give the transformation an A, because, you know, it's kind of simple. I wish there was more to it. Now that we've discussed this mode, which is just weird, he's pretty long. Not very, very long, but if we put him up on his tail fins, and we take More Than Meets the Eye Optimus Prime here, and we can tell that the top of his nose doesn't even go to the top of More Than Meet the Eye Optimus Prime's shoulder. Also, this is also the Commander class mold, and I still highly recommend that mold. If you can find him at a Target, get it, because that's the cheapest. I think this is going to be the cheapest you're ever getting that Optimus Prime, unless they do another release of him sans trailer in the future. But this is an amazing transformation. Get it. Anyway, back to the figure. So let's go ahead and get him into his other mode. And his other mode is very simple to achieve. There's some things about it where I'm like, I don't really get this, and maybe I'm doing it wrong in some aspects. But first and foremost, you want to go ahead and take off the little winglets on the sides. And then we're going to fold his feet up and out so that we can get at these arms. Now the arms are actually going to get disconnected from the legs a little bit. So we're going to fold the arms up, kind of. You can't, because what we're going to have to do for his transformation into his core block mode is going to require that the arms not be where they currently are. So we're going to fold them out, but kind of keep them a little flat towards the legs. Next step is we're going to fold back his nose cone area, and then fold up the Enigma combination part of the nose cone so that it sits flat like a nice little backpack. I like how clean his backpack is. And then we reveal the head. We're going to rotate that head 180 degrees, and then we're going to come around here to his legs. Now take his feet and fold them down and in, and clip them in place. So they're just going to fold backwards, so the bottom of his foot is actually going to end up on top of his hips. And we're going to do that with the other side. Fold that down and around, and put the bottom of his foot connected to his hips. There we go. Now with his arms, this is the part I don't really like. You just kind of fold them up. At least I've been able to figure out. You just fold them up, and they just gonna hang out on his back like Menassor's arms hang out on his back. I wish there was more we could do with them, and if there is, I'm not aware. Though I think with his like little gun bits, you can just kind of fold them up and shove them over his shoulders if you wanted to. It's something you can do with your toy, but that's all you have to do stepwise to make him into his combination mode, where he's this crazy core thing. And he does fit quite nicely as that. And in a video we're going to do later on, I'm going to actually bring out Menasor and Silverbolt, but I'm going to wait for my Bruticus so that I can actually cover all 3 of the combiner skeletons out so far and compare Nexus Prime to all 3 of those. So be on the lookout. I mean, if you can't see, be on the listen out for keep your ears open for my video on this guy compared with the other combiners we've gotten so far, where I put him in different skeletons to discuss, how he fits and what could have been done better or worse, and just have some fun playing with the Transformers in the way that they want us to play with them. But I've been Blind Prime, and this has been Blindformers. I hope that all of you out there are having a wonderful day. I'm having one myself, absolutely enjoying bringing this figure to you. If it wasn't for the heat and humidity, I'd be having a better one, that's for sure. But hey, it's Florida. Welcome to the hot zone. So thanks for watching. Until next Prime, bye-bye for now.